International games are done and dusted, and it's the big one on Sunday, Manchester United versus Liverpool. Also, we want to touch on some of the latest reports in the world of Manchester United. As usual, get involved in that comment section and smash a like on today's video to help support the channel. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. The international break is over. The one thing about the international break, games never seem to hit the heights as we expect. There always seems to be a little bit of lethargic from players. But, hey, there's no new injury concerns concerning Manchester United. So that's a good point, Kieran.
Yeah, one thing I do want to touch on and bring up is Casemiro away on international duty with Brazil. Travelled all the way to Tokyo as well. Big game. This is on Sunday where we're going to need that centre in midfield with some legs, some fresh legs as well. So do you think he's going to start ahead of Ugarte, or does Ugarte come in for you?
Well, I've always said for a long while now, Casemiro's leg's gone. And he didn't just travel there. He went to South Korea, played in Japan, and he actually played the 2 games, 90 minutes, full game. So for me, it looks as though Casemiro is a doubt. He does prefer Casemiro. He's gone off Ugarte, which we'll get into. But for me, some players travelled a lot. But Casemiro, my God, he's done some miles. So he looks a certainty to be rested.
But surely with the amount of games played already in the Premier League, he's still got a lot left in the tank to start a game against Liverpool.
For me, he's not got the 90 minutes energy for Manchester United in the Premier League. We've seen what he does. He goes in for some wild tackles, and his latest one contributed to a sending off. He should come on, settle the game down, try to do his magic, because he's still got the magic. Liverpool will come at Manchester United. They will press. And for me, Casemiro, he hasn't got the legs to get about that pitch with a fast team coming at you. And Liverpool, they will take advantage. I've seen time and time again where teams come at United and they play around Casemiro and he ends up lunging. And his latest lunge got him sent off.
Yeah, you've got to look at other managers out there who we come up against. It does look like they tend to want to overload that midfield area where there's at least 3 or 4 bodies in there compared to our 2. So that is a big decision, I think, from Amorim to make on Sunday, whether it goes with Ugarte or Casemiro. But I did see some latest reports with Casemiro that they're actually thinking about triggering that 1-year option in his contract. It does end at the end of the season, but like I say, they've got that 1-year option, but it would be on reduced wages. What do you think of that?
Well, that doesn't bode well, because we've heard news about Maguire being on reduced wages. They're talking to him about a possible staying at Manchester United, and the same with Casemiro. Look, it's as simple as this in my view. Casemiro, Maguire, their time's up at Manchester United. We need to move forward. We need investment in players what are here for the long-term future. For me, there's not just them 2 players. There's 1 or 2 more. But stories talking about Casemiro and Maguire sort of staying at Manchester United. No, players need to be moved on. We've moved someone already, and there is a few more. I do not like this conversation about Casemiro reduced wages, because that is not what it's all about, in my opinion.
Yeah, I must highlight and stress that these only reports. Some out there, journalists, are not hearing any of these reports. So it just takes it from whatever news source you want to pick from and take it with a pinch of salt if you wish to do so. My only concern is I hear a lot, especially over the last 12, 18 months, about the future and looking forward with actually recruitment of younger players, especially Premier League proven. And I think they're at the ages now, Casemiro and Maguire, especially in the way Ruben Amorim wants to play, a high line, fast athletic players in the midfield area. Another season in the legs, a World Cup coming up as well. I mean, how's that going to work out for the following season? If I do see pen to paper with them 2 players on an extended deal, I mean, what's that summer transfer window going to look like? I'm not too sure. That's the only worry I've got.
Ugarte, for me, is like for like. Ruben Amorim, I always say it, he always surprises us with that lineup, and you just never know. He might just put Mainoo in there. Some people might say, well, it's totally against Mainoo, but it's Liverpool. So I say to myself, stories are coming out now about in questioning Ugarte. Is he the same type of player? So for me, Ugarte like for like, but just wait until Friday comes along and let's see what Ruben Amorim has to say in that press conference. I look at the main problem, and I've got to have Ligt back in the centre of them 3. So for me, Maguire has to go on the bench. Ugarte, I think I prefer Ugarte coming in. But looking at it, he's got Friday and Saturday, and he's got a lot to do and a lot to decide for that game against Liverpool, because it is going to be tough.
Yeah, going to leave that one to the manager to pick who he picks in that sort of defensive midfield role or the number 6. If Casemiro comes back and he's not feeling any effects of the international break, for me, based on form right now, I would probably stick Casemiro in ahead of Ugarte. Ahmad as well on international break against Kenya. He grabbed the goal, got an assist as well. For me, he has to start in that right wing-back spot. We need to get something a bit different and more positive as well, getting up the pitch instead of more defensive-minded, because Kirk has in Liverpool's left-back spot, for me this season, in what I've seen, he's not been pulling up any trees going forward. Defensively, yeah, he looks sound, he looks solid, but I think we can get away with it putting an attacking-minded player in that right wing spot in Ahmad over Dolo.
Well, that's what you want to see on Sunday against Liverpool, attacking-minded players. So it's down to Ruben Amorim. But a look at the conversation going on. It's still going on about a midfield player, talk of Belieber, Wharton, and then next thing you know, story comes out about Bellingham. Jobe Bellingham, innit? Not Jude Bellingham. Now, if it was a conversation about Jude Bellingham, I'd be quite happy about it. Bellingham, who's at Dortmund, he's over there, he's not getting game time, being linked to Manchester United. Well, I tell you what, not for me. I just don't understand that conversation whatsoever. Tittle-tattle, that's what it was. International break, but we get it all the time, don't we?
Yeah, I do remember when he left Sunderland, I was like looking around, seeing what the Sunderland fans' reactions were, and it didn't seem like they were too high rate about it. It's like they weren't really too bothered about him leaving. And for me, that told me a lot about what he is as a player at the moment. Me personally, I'd have expected him to want to stay with Sunderland and play in the Premier League. But from the outside in, I'm looking at it, has he got full control over his future? I think it's his dad who is actually planning his career path. And, you know, he's made that choice to go over to Borussia Dortmund. We know what they're like in Europe. They're a good club and they're a big club as well. But I'd have expected him to take his own way in football instead of trying to take his older brother, who's a top player, trying to take his career path. And I think it was the first game of the season for Borussia Dortmund against St. Pauli, I think it was. He was brought off at half-time, and I think his dad went down to the tunnel near the actual changing rooms to have a word with the sporting director, Sebastian Kell, about why his son had been took off. And I think after that, Borussia Dortmund put some restrictions in place to not allow any family members or entourages in and around the dressing room. So that just shows you the ego and the so-called maybe power, what they think they've got as a family and a unit in trying to make decisions happen inside football clubs, thing that matters most. And that's how does he perform on the pitch. I mean, if he's sat on the bench and he's looking like a player who's being used as backup for injuries or anyone in the starting 11 over poor performance, why do we need him at Manchester United? And you've got to look at our own situation. You know, we've got Kobbie Mainoo there. It's not too dissimilar to what's going on with Jobe Bellingham at Borussia Dortmund, struggling to find minutes. But if I'm comparing the two players, I'm taking Mainoo all day long over Bellingham, and I prefer Mainoo to get minutes at Manchester United over Bellingham, to be honest. So for me right now, I know there's interesting reports out there with Crystal Palace who are looking at him as well, but I just don't see him right now as a Manchester United player, or we need to come into that midfield area to fix the weaknesses that we've actually got. I just don't see it. If he can't handle it at Borussia Dortmund right now and he's already kicking up a fuss, I mean, do we really want a player like that being brought into our dressing room? We've seen it all before and it don't work out well.
Well, Bellingham coming to Manchester United, absolute no. It'll never happen. Never mind now. It will definitely never happen in the future. And I, for one, will never, ever mention his name again.
Well, let's hope it never happens again. I'm not too sure on the actual reports myself. I think it's that usual international break, you know, certain stories coming out around transfers, etc. And I'd be a bit disappointed, to be honest, if Manchester United started looking at putting bids in or making moves for loans in the January transfer window, especially when we've got the likes of Kobbie Mainoo there, who I think would be deserving of minutes over a player like Bellingham, because what's he proved at the moment? Nothing. Whereas Mainoo's played some big games. Let us know what your thoughts and opinions are on the topics that we've discussed today. Just thought you'd do a bit of a brief overview just to get the community involved with their own opinions going into that Liverpool game, which is a huge match on Sunday. Let us know what your thoughts are on Casemiro and Ugarte. Who gets the nod for you in that starting 11 versus Liverpool? And anything else, get it in that comment section and smash that like button to help support the channel and also today's video. We'll see you tomorrow. Get that notification on and you take care. See you soon.
Thank you.